Good morning, traders. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Wednesday, November 5th. Let's take a look at the action. SPOOs are down 0.14%, which is positive because we were down, over 0.2% and even more overnight. So this is really showing to start a little bit of a rebound. It really indicates that the S&Ps are stabilizing this morning. But, markets are remaining cautious, on tech valuations and, of course, on the latest round of earnings reports. The key economic report for today is going to be that ADP employment report that's coming out at 8:15 a.m. Remember, we have no non-farms payroll report on Friday, so this is going to be the only, national employment report that's going to be coming out this week, so it's going to be a key one. Government shutdown, remains in effect. There's some chatter out there saying an agreement to reopen the government could happen within a week. We'll see if that happens or not. Today is Wednesday, November 5th, and it starts, the Supreme Court is going to be starting to hear oral arguments on the Trump tariff case. All the lower courts rejected it, said his tariffs are illegal. So I would be surprised if they have a different viewpoint of it. And this is going to be a lot of, talk, a lot of narrative is going to be focused on these Trump tariffs in the coming weeks. Fed speakers are out in force today. Remember, we got kind of a lack of economic data these days. So the Fed speakers are really coming out doing as much as they can to kind of provide the markets with their take of what's going on with the economic data that they are seeing. McDonald's came out with earnings this morning. They delivered a miss, but the sales are ticking higher, so that's kind of positive for them. Bank of America having an analyst meeting on the earnings front. Rivan, Amgen, Novo Nordisk, ticker NVO, they're all trading higher. PINS, ANET, KTOS, Humana, AMD, and SMCI, they're all trading lower after their earnings releases. But after the bell today, you got AppLovin, ticker APP, you got Qualcomm, QCOM, you got ARM Holdings, ticker ARM, Robinhood Markets, HOOD, Dash, DoorDash, DASH, McKesson, MCK, and Allstate, ticker ALL. They're all reporting. And then, tomorrow before the opening bell, you got AstraZeneca, AZN, you got Datadog, DDOG, Warner Brothers, WBD, Ralph Lauren, RL, and Moderna, mRNA. They're all scheduled to report. Okay, so let's take a quick peek and see what's happening over in Europe this morning. We're looking at the DAX. The DAX is down 0.3%, or 72 points. It was down well over 100 points, so it's kind of positive. We're seeing some gains in autos there because of some positive earnings reports that came out. We're taking a look at London. London turned. It was negative. Now it's higher. London's higher by 0.7%. There's some weakness in financials, but the fact that Europe's in the green is positive. In Paris, the CAC down 0.06%. Luxury stocks are slightly lower. And then we're taking a look over at Asia. And Asia was, a mixed bag. The Nikkei fell 1,284 points. That's 2.5%. They extended the losses from the previous day with technology stocks really leading the selling pressure. But Hong Kong, it was only lower by 0.07%. Tech and property shares were weak, but, it wasn't that bad. And then there's China, the Shanghai market, they actually rose 0.23%. They got their October trade and inflation data due out later this week. So, there's anticipation for that, which helped cause that market to turn green during the day overnight. Then we're taking a quick peek at oil and seeing what's going on in oil. And oil is lower. Listen, we did see oil trading higher, ticking higher this morning, but it has since moved lower. You got WTI at $60.39 a barrel. You got Brent at $64.31 a barrel. You had the API oil inventories last night. They displayed a build of about 4 million barrels. They displayed a draw of about 4 million barrels, which is bullish for oil prices. But today you get the EIA data, the Energy Information Administration. They're going to be releasing the official stockpile data, and these two reports don't always coincide. So we're going to have to wait and see what the data from the EIA says when that report comes out. Okay, let's move on to earnings and let's see what's happening on the earnings front. Listen, you got to start with AMD, Apple, Michael David. The report. Listen. First off, the stock's down. Heavily. It's down like 5% this morning, trading in a fast market. But they beat by 3 cents, and they did it on higher revenue. Then there's Johnson Controls, ticker JCI, John, Charlie, India. These guys delivered a beat of 6 cents on higher revenue. That stock's up 6.18% this morning. And then you have McDonald's. McDonald's missed by 11 cents on lower revenue. Sales looks like it's increasing. You look at the stock, it's up 0.84%. So we got to be positive on that. Then we're taking a look at the upcoming holdings like ARM Holdings, ticker ARM. Their EPS is 33 cents. Expected move is 9.99%. Qualcomm, ticker QCOM. Their EPS is $2.87 with an expected move of 6.5%. You got App11, ticker APP. Apple Paul. Their EPS is $2.37. Expected move is 13%. Could be something. We've got to keep an eye on those. Then we're looking at economic reports that are hitting the tape today. As I said, the key one, the ADP employment report. That one's coming out at 8:15 this morning. And without the non-farms payroll report on Friday, this is going to be a key one that the markets will be looking to. And then at 10 a.m., you get the services PMI for October. That should be positive. Then you get a whole slew of Fed speak. 11 a.m., we're going to hear from Fed Governor Michael Barr. Also at 11, New York Fed Bank President John Williams. Then at noon, you can hear from Cleveland Fed Bank President Beth Hammack. 3:30, Fed Governor Christopher Waller will be speaking. At 4:40 p.m., Philadelphia Fed Bank President Anna Paulson. And then at 5:30 p.m., St. Louis Fed Bank President Alberto Mulsanne will be speaking. Plenty of action happening today on the economic front. Let's take a look at the markets real quick. We're looking at my Dow stocks. I got 15 higher and 15 lower. Kind of a mixed bag. But my FANG stocks, are mixed as well. Tesla's showing a slight gain, 1%. Apple and Amazon are slightly lower, whereas Google and Meta are higher. Remember, we're taking some of the news behind the tape, and Meta, they rejected the French regulators' ruling against their algorithm. Netflix, this is interesting. Netflix is flat this morning, but they are sending out requests to the agents of video podcast creators. Think about that. What if they're kind of trying to build a TikTok-type app? This could be interesting. Netflix could really do some damage there. Then we have Tesla. Elon Musk's, the story's out. Oh, he remains focused on XAI. Well, you know what? Tomorrow's his pay package, the shareholder vote on his pay package. So we're going to have to see. That's going to be a big one for the stock. We'll see if what happens with that when that news is announced tomorrow. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, we're talking Apple. Apple is said to be launching a low-cost Mac laptop rival to Chromebooks. Ooh, nice. Amazon, they sent a cease and desist letter to Perplexity AI. Because apparently they have a link, or they send people to Amazon's shopping site. They don't want Perplexity to be doing that, so they sent them a cease and desist letter. These guys are saying, Amazon's bullying us. NVIDIA, China bans foreign AI chips from data centers using state funds. Look at NVIDIA this morning; it's down 0.5%. In terms of merger news, KTOS, they're going to be acquiring Israeli's Orbit Technologies for $356 million. Okay. Then we got Papa John's Pizza. That's ticker PZZA, Paul Zebra Apple. Okay, the stock fell hard yesterday. It's flat to higher this morning. But the fact of the matter is Apollo's backing out of the deal to take over Papa John's Pizza, PZZA. We're talking guidance news. Johnson Controls, ticker JCI. They see full year 2026 EPS revenue $4.50, whereas in the street estimates $4.43. Nice positive uptick. Steve Madden, ticker SHOO. They see Q4 adjusted EPS 41 to 46 cents. Street estimate is 30 cents. I mean, that's a big uptick. I mean, you look at that, the stock's trading a little lower. It's down about 1% this morning. But, you get the holiday season, so I'm not surprised that they're raising their Q4 adjusted EPS. AMD sees Q4 EPS coming in $9.6 billion plus or minus $300 million. $9.6 billion plus or minus $300 million, where the consensus is $9.2 billion. It's okay. I guess the street was expecting a bigger guidance, but Amazon, AMD is typically very conservative. there. Let's talk shareholders meetings. Bank of America, ticker BAC. Boy, Apple Charlie, they're going to be having an analyst meeting today. There could be something there. But that's what I have for you about news hitting the tape today. In terms of a trading pick for today, I'm going to be watching Tapestry, TPR, Tom, Paul, Richard. Okay, now earnings are out tomorrow morning. The EPS is $1.25, and the expected move is 18.70%. Wow, that's a nice opportunity there. And now you look at yesterday's call volume: 661 calls versus 304 puts, 2-1. Open interest 52K to 33K, positive, very positive on the call side. Then you look at the major brokers; they're raising price targets. They have nice higher price targets. They're positive on the stock. But, I look at the stock this morning, 103 to 109.95. I want to get in, 105, 105.50, somewhere in that range. But that's my pick of the day. TPR, Tom, Paul, Richard, Tapestry. Okay, let's talk about, news hitting the market in the last 15 minutes or so. Let's see, what do we got here? Meta Platforms gets a cease and desist letter on Instagram, PG-13 description. Then they're getting it from the Motion Picture Association. Diebold, DBD, meeting to vote for proposed nominees of the board of directors. Okay. SNBR, Sleep Number, says they're on track to exceed 2025 cost savings target. RDNT, RadNet, acquires assets of Alpha RT. BHVN, FDA rejects their drug application for rare brain disorders. Boy Henry, Victor Nancy. Google is performing App Store's reforms in a settlement with Fortnite maker Epic Games. JP Morgan says it's cooperating with the Trump administration's push to scrutinize banks over alleged debanking of certain industries or clients. That's what I'm seeing this morning. Okay, let's talk about yesterday's pick of the day, which was JCI, John Charlie India, Johnson Controls. Listen, you look at the stock, it opened up at $111.57, but then it fell. It fell down to $110.70, which was, a great opportunity. Because I was thinking $111, and I actually got in at $110.75. But then it ran. It ran all the way up to $112.34. And this morning, you look at JCI this morning, it's flying. JCI is trading at $115.54. So, that's a big move. And, I got out last night in the aftermarket at $112.50, but you look at the gains there; they're up over 4% this morning. So JCI was definitely a winner. It was a good pick last night. But that's what I have for you in terms of NewsWare's Trade Talk for today, Wednesday, November 5th. Guys, you know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.